My name is Rebecca Chen. I'm 34 years old, and the day I found out I wasn't pregnant should have been the worst day of my life. Instead, it was the day I discovered my husband and his mistress had been playing me for a fool, and the day I decided to destroy them both. I went to my gynecologist, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, for what I thought was a routine pregnancy confirmation. 3 home tests had come back positive. My period was 6 weeks late. I had every symptom: nausea, fatigue, tender breasts. My husband Marcus and I had been trying for 2 years, and finally, it was happening. Dr. Mitchell ran the blood test while I sat there grinning like an idiot, already mentally decorating a nursery. Then she came back into the room with an expression I'll never forget. Not sadness, not confusion, rage. "Rebecca," she said carefully, sitting down across from me, "you're not pregnant." The room tilted. "What?" "But the tests, all 3 tests were positive. My period, the tests were positive because of hormonal irregularities in your system." She turned her computer screen toward me. "Rebecca, there are synthetic hormones in your blood work. Birth control hormones, high-dose oral contraceptives." I stared at her. "That's impossible. I'm not on birth control. We're trying to get pregnant. Why would I?" "You wouldn't," Dr. Mitchell's voice was steel. "But someone's been giving them to you. Rebecca, how do you take your vitamins?" And that's when my world shattered, because every morning for the past 2 years, my loving, devoted husband Marcus made me breakfast. And every morning he handed me my prenatal vitamins with a glass of orange juice and watched me swallow them. Before I continue, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I love hearing from you. And if this story resonates with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. "Rebecca," Dr. Mitchell's voice cut through my spiraling thoughts. "Do you understand what I'm telling you? Someone has been deliberately preventing your pregnancy." "My husband," I whispered. "Marcus. He gives me vitamins every morning. He insists on it. Says they'll help with fertility." Dr. Mitchell's jaw tightened. "I need you to bring me those vitamins. Don't take any more. And Rebecca," she paused. "In my 20 years of practice, when a man prevents his wife's pregnancy this systematically, there's usually a reason, a specific reason." "What reason?" "Another woman." I laughed, actually laughed. "No, not Marcus. He's devoted to me. He's been so supportive through our infertility struggles. He's been making sure you stay infertile," Dr. Mitchell finished. "Rebecca, I need to ask you something difficult. Has your husband been distant lately? Working late, taking calls in another room?" I opened my mouth to say no, but then I remembered the late nights at the hospital, the weekend conferences, the way he'd started password protecting his phone 6 months ago, the new cologne, the gym membership he suddenly cared about after years of me begging him to exercise. Oh, God. "I need to go," I said, standing up so fast the exam table rattled. "I need to go home right now." "Rebecca, wait!" But I was already out the door, my mind racing. If Marcus was preventing my pregnancy, if there was another woman, I needed proof. I needed to know everything before I confronted him. I drove home in a daze. Marcus wouldn't be back for hours. He had a late surgery tonight. How many of those late surgeries were real? Our house was exactly as I'd left it that morning, picture perfect. The home we'd built together over 8 years of marriage. I walked through it like a stranger, seeing everything differently now. I went straight to his home office. He kept it locked, said it was because of patient confidentiality, medical files he brought home. I'd never questioned it. I'd never questioned anything. I found the key in his sock drawer, the one place he thought I'd never look because I did all the laundry. My hands shook as I unlocked the door. His desk was neat, organized. I started with the drawers. Nothing in the first 2. The third was locked. I used a letter opener to jimmy it open, and that's when I found them. The pills. At least 15 packs of birth control pills, different brands, different dosages. And underneath them, my prenatal vitamin bottles, empty ones with the labels still attached. He'd been refilling my vitamin bottles with birth control pills and resealing them. 2 years of this. But that wasn't the worst thing in the drawer. The worst thing was the phone, a second phone I'd never known existed. I turned it on with shaking hands. No password. He'd never expected anyone to find it. The messages loaded, and my heart stopped. The contact name was just V, but the messages told me everything. "Missing you, baby. Can't wait until this is all over and we can be together. Dinner was amazing last night. You look so sexy pregnant." Pregnant? I scrolled up, my hands trembling so badly I could barely hold the phone. The messages went back 2 years. 2 years of I love yous and can't wait to leave hers and explicit photos that made me want to vomit. And then I found it. A message from 3 months ago. V. Are you sure the pills are working? What if she figures it out? Marcus. She won't. She's too trusting, too stupid. She actually believes her body is the problem. It's kind of pathetic. V. I feel bad sometimes. She seems nice. Marcus. Don't. She's served her purpose, paid off my med school loans, bought us this house with her inheritance, played the perfect doctor's wife. But you're my future. You and our baby. V. When are you leaving her? Marcus. Soon. Once I figure out how to keep the house and her money. Maybe another year. Just be patient, sweetheart. I promise. This will all be worth it. I sat there on the floor of his office reading 2 years of messages between my husband and his pregnant mistress, and something inside me cracked. Not broke. Cracked. Because broken things are weak. Cracked things are dangerous. I took photos of everything. The pills, every message, every explicit photo he'd sent her, every promise he'd made to leave me, every cruel word about me. Then I found the letters. He'd printed out emails, saved them in a folder labeled insurance. How fitting. These were from V, whose full name I learned was Vanessa Hartley, a 26-year-old surgical nurse at his hospital. One letter was particularly illuminating. Marcus, I know you said we have to wait, but I'm 7 months pregnant now and starting to show. People at work are asking questions. I told them the father is out of the picture, but I hate lying. I hate pretending we're not together. When can we tell everyone? When can I move into that beautiful house you promised me? The one your wife's family money paid for? I'm tired of waiting, baby. I'm tired of being your secret. Our daughter deserves to have her father's name. Our daughter. He was having a daughter with someone else, while telling me we'd keep trying for our baby, while drugging me to make sure that baby never happened. I photographed everything, then carefully put it all back exactly as I'd found it. I locked the drawer. I locked the office. I put the key back in his sock drawer. Then I went to our bedroom and opened his regular phone with his passcode, our wedding anniversary, because he was sentimental like that. I went into his settings and synced his phone to our home computer. Every text, every call, every photo, backing up to a hard drive he didn't know existed, I had evidence. Now I needed a plan. I called my sister Emily, my hands still shaking. Em, I need you to not ask questions and just say yes. Can I come stay with you tonight? Of course. Becca, what's wrong? I'll explain when I get there. But Em, I need you to promise me something. When I tell you what's happened, I need you to help me stay calm. I need you to help me think clearly, because I'm about to destroy 2 people, and I can't afford to make mistakes. There was a pause. Then Emily's voice came back, cold and clear. Bring wine. We're going to need a lot of wine. I packed a bag quickly, efficiently. Clothes, toiletries, my laptop, and most importantly, the flash drive with all the evidence. I left a note on the kitchen counter. Went to M's for girls' night. Don't wait up. Love you. The love you tasted like poison in my mouth, but I needed him to think everything was normal. I was pulling out of the driveway when my phone buzzed. Marcus. Hey, babe. Just got out of surgery. Long day. Grabbing dinner with the team. Don't wait up. Love you. Liar. I checked his location on our shared app. He was at the Riverside Apartments. Vanessa's place. I'd bet anything. Sounds good. Love you too. I texted back. I drove to Emily's, and the moment I walked in the door, I collapsed. All the shock, all the betrayal, all the rage I'd been holding back came pouring out. Emily held me while I sobbed, then poured us both massive glasses of wine. Okay, she said, once I could breathe again. Tell me everything. So I did. I showed her the photos, played her the messages, explained about the pills. By the time I finished, Emily's face was white with fury. That son of a bitch, she breathed. That absolute son of a bitch. And this Vanessa, she knew. She knew he was married and she helped him. She mocked you in those messages. I know. So what are you going to do? I took a long drink of wine. I'm going to destroy them both. Not just divorce him. Not just expose the affair. I'm going to take everything they care about and burn it to the ground. Emily's smile was sharp as a knife. Tell me what you need. We spent that night planning. Emily, thank God, had done a year of law school before deciding it wasn't for her, and her husband Tom was a corporate lawyer. Between the 3 of us, we mapped out a strategy. First, I needed more information. I needed to know exactly how long this affair had been going on, where they met, how public it was. I needed to know what promises Marcus had made, what plans they'd made for their future together. Tom suggested we hire a private investigator. You have enough evidence for a divorce, he said, but if you want to truly destroy them, you need to know everything. Every lie, every secret, every vulnerable point. The PI, a woman named Diana Ross, yes, really, was a former cop who specialized in infidelity cases. I met with her the next morning and gave her everything I had. This is good, Diana said, reviewing the photos on my phone. This is really good, but you want more than good. You want airtight. Give me 2 weeks. What are you going to do? Everything, she smiled. I'm going to follow your husband, follow the mistress, document every interaction, find out if anyone at their workplace knows, get photos, videos, recordings. By the time I'm done, they won't be able to deny a single thing. I went back to Emily's and did the hardest thing I've ever done. I texted Marcus and acted normal. Miss you. When are you coming home? Soon, baby. Just tying up loose ends at work. Can't wait to see you. More lies. But I could play this game too. For 2 weeks, I pretended everything was fine. I went home every day. I smiled at Marcus. I let him give me those goddamn pills, but I'd started palming them, spitting them out later. I made dinner. I made love to him. And the whole time, I imagined the look on his face when I destroyed him. And every night, I met with Diana to review what she'd found. It was worse than I'd imagined. The affair had been going on for 2.5 years. It started before Marcus and I even began trying for a baby. He'd met Vanessa at the hospital and pursued her aggressively. She was young, impressionable, and she fell hard. But here's the thing. Vanessa wasn't some innocent victim he'd seduced. She knew exactly what she was doing. Diana showed me photos from Vanessa's social media, private accounts Marcus thought I'd never find. There were posts about finally finding a real man, and some women don't appreciate what they have. There were photos of Marcus's in my house with captions like soon and can't wait to call this home. She'd been in my house multiple times when I was at work or visiting family. Diana had footage of Marcus sneaking her in through the garage. There were photos of them together at restaurants I'd never been to, on weekend getaways during his medical conferences. There was even a video of them at a jewelry store, picking out a ring, an engagement ring. He was planning to marry her the second our divorce was final. But the most damning evidence was what Diana found at the hospital. Marcus and Vanessa weren't subtle. Multiple co-workers knew about the affair. They'd been seen making out in supply closets, leaving work together, coming back from lunch breaks with their clothes rumpled and her makeup smeared. One nurse told Diana, off the record, "Everyone knows. It's disgusting. Marcus tells anyone who'll listen that his wife is infertile and depressed, that he's staying with her out of obligation. Meanwhile, Vanessa parades around, showing off her baby bump, and they both act like there's some tragic love story." Diana got it all on tape. By the end of 2 weeks, I had photos of the birth control pills, 2 years of message history, financial records showing Marcus had been funneling money to Vanessa, evidence of over 30 separate encounters at her apartment, photos of them together in public, testimony from hospital staff, videos of them being intimate in his car, proof that Vanessa had been in my house at least a dozen times, screenshots from her social media mocking me. I had everything I needed. Now came the fun part. If this story is making your blood boil like mine was, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what happens next. Trust me, the revenge gets so much better. Your support means everything to this channel. I called Dr. Mitchell first. I need you to file a report. Medical board, police, whoever will listen. My husband has been administering drugs to me without my consent for 2 years. Rebecca, are you sure? This will destroy his career. That's the point. Next, I called a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, the best divorce attorney in the city. Sharon Kim had a reputation for obliterating cheating spouses in court. I want everything, I told her, laying out my evidence. The house, the savings, his pension, his trust fund, everything. Sharon smiled like a shark scenting blood. Honey, by the time I'm done with him, he'll be living in a cardboard box. Then I did something crazy. I called Vanessa's workplace. Hi, I need to speak to someone in HR about an employee who's been having an inappropriate relationship with a married doctor. Yes, I'll hold. I filed a formal complaint, attached photos, included testimony from other nurses, made it clear that Vanessa had been engaging in a relationship with a married colleague, compromising workplace professionalism and using hospital time and resources for personal affairs. This will be investigated, the HR director assured me. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. But I still wasn't done, because I wanted more than just legal and professional consequences. I wanted them publicly humiliated. I wanted everyone they knew to see exactly what they'd done. I found out when Vanessa's baby shower was scheduled. She'd made it public on social media, a big celebration at a fancy restaurant with all their friends and coworkers invited, and I was going to crash it. I spent the next week preparing. I bought a beautiful dress, designer, expensive, the kind of outfit that screamed woman in control. I had my hair and makeup done professionally. I looked like a completely different person from the sad, defeated woman who'd believed her body was broken. I looked like someone you didn't want as an enemy. The day of the baby shower, I arrived early. I'd rented the private room next door and requested a projector and screen be set up, claiming I needed it for a business presentation. The restaurant staff, thinking I was a legitimate customer, were happy to help. Through the wall, I could hear the baby shower starting. Laughter, music, the clinking of glasses, Vanessa's friends cooing over baby clothes and discussing nursery themes. I waited until the party was in full swing, then I walked into the room. The laughter stopped. Every face turned toward me. Vanessa was sitting in a place of honor, surrounded by pink balloons and presents, her pregnant belly prominent in a tight pink dress. She looked happy, glowing. Marcus was beside her, his hand on her belly, playing the devoted father-to-be. When he saw me, all the color drained from his face. "Rebecca," he stammered, standing up. "What are you? You can't be here." "Why not?" I said sweetly, walking further into the room. I'd brought my laptop and the portable projector. "I'm your wife, and this is your baby shower. Shouldn't I be invited?" Vanessa's face went from shocked to defiant. "Marcus, who is this woman?" Oh, she was good, playing innocent for the crowd. "You know exactly who I am," I said, setting up my laptop on a nearby table. "I'm the wife Marcus has been telling everyone is crazy and infertile. The wife he's been planning to leave. The wife whose inheritance paid for your engagement ring." Gasps from the crowd. Marcus moved toward me. "Rebecca, let's talk about this outside." "No, we're doing this here, in front of everyone." I turned on the projector. The first slide was a photo of Marcus and me on our wedding day, young, in love, completely unaware that he'd turned into a monster. "This is us 8 years ago," I said. "We were happy. Or I thought we were. I believed everything he told me. I believed we were trying to have a baby together. I believed our infertility was just bad luck." The next slide was a photo of the birth control pills I'd found in his office. "Turns out my husband has been drugging me for 2 years, giving me birth control pills disguised as prenatal vitamins, making sure I couldn't get pregnant while telling me we'd keep trying." More gasps. Several people stood up, unsure whether to stay or leave. "You're crazy," Marcus said, his voice shaking. "You're having a breakdown." "Am I?" The next slide was a screenshot of his messages with Vanessa, the ones calling me stupid and pathetic. Someone in the crowd whispered, "Oh my God." Vanessa's face was chalk white now. "Marcus, what is she talking about?" "Don't play innocent," I snapped at her, advancing on her. "You've been screwing my husband for 2.5 years. You've been in my house. You've posted photos mocking me on social media. You've told coworkers that you can't wait for me to be gone so you can have my life." I clicked to the next slide. Her Instagram post with a photo of my living room, captioned, "Soon." "You helped him," I said, my voice rising. "You knew he was drugging me. Look, here's the message where you asked if the pills were working." The message filled the screen. The room erupted. People were yelling questions at Marcus and Vanessa. Some were demanding explanations. Others were gathering their things to leave. Marcus grabbed my arm. Stop this right now." I yanked free. "Or what? You'll drug me again? You'll lie to me again?" I clicked through more slides, photos of them together, explicit messages, financial records showing money transferred from our joint account to hers, video footage of them in his car, her dress hiked up, his hands all over her. "This is what your hero looks like," I told the crowd. "A man who drugged his wife to keep her infertile. A man who stole her inheritance to support his pregnant mistress. A man who told everyone his wife was crazy, when really he was just a cheating, manipulative piece of shit." Several people were filming now on their phones. Good. I wanted this to go viral. I turned to Vanessa, who was crying now, mascara streaming down her face. "And you! I said, my voice cold. You thought you were special. You thought you'd won. You're 26 years old, pregnant with a married man's baby, and you actually believed he'd leave me for you. He loves me, she sobbed. He chose me. He chose my money, I corrected. The house you want so badly, my family money bought it. The lifestyle you've been enjoying, my inheritance funded it. You're not his prize. You're his retirement plan. I clicked to the final slide. Divorce papers. Marcus Thompson, you are served. I'm divorcing you for adultery and abuse. I'm taking the house, the savings, and every penny you've stolen from me. Your medical license is under review for administering drugs without consent. The hospital is investigating you both for workplace misconduct. I looked at Vanessa. And you're facing an HR inquiry that will likely result in termination. All those nurses who covered for you, they've given statements. The room was chaos now. People shouting, crying, filming. Marcus lunged at me and I stepped back, holding up my phone. Touch me, and I call the police. I have a restraining order being filed as we speak. You bitch, he snarled. And there it was, the real Marcus. The mask had finally slipped. You vindictive, crazy bitch. There's that word again, crazy. I smiled. I'm not crazy, Marcus. I'm just done being played. I walked out of that restaurant with my head held high, leaving behind a room full of shocked guests, a sobbing mistress, and a husband whose life was imploding in real time. By that evening, the video had been posted to social media by at least 6 different people. By morning, it had gone viral. Hundreds of thousands of views, thousands of comments calling Marcus and Vanessa every name in the book. The hospital called Marcus that Monday. He was suspended pending investigation. They called Vanessa too. She was terminated immediately for violating workplace conduct policies. Marcus tried to call me 47 times that first day. I blocked his number. He showed up at Emily's house. The police escorted him away. He hired a lawyer to fight the divorce. Sharon Kim destroyed him in the preliminary hearing. Your Honor, she said, presenting the evidence. Mr. Thompson administered birth control pills to his wife without her knowledge or consent for 2 years. He stole marital funds to support his pregnant mistress. He has conducted an affair that multiple witnesses can corroborate. My client is entitled to full compensation for abuse, betrayal, and emotional distress. The judge agreed. I got the house, 70% of our savings, and his pension. Marcus would also be paying me spousal support for 5 years. But the real victory came 3 months later when the medical board held their hearing. I testified. Dr. Mitchell testified. Even the PI, Diana, testified about the evidence she'd gathered. Mr. Thompson used his medical knowledge to harm his wife, the board chairman said. He administered drugs without consent, violating every principle of medical ethics. His actions constitute abuse of his position and knowledge. They revoked his medical license, permanently. Marcus Thompson, the promising young doctor, would never practice medicine again. Vanessa had her baby, a girl just as they'd planned. But without Marcus's income, and with her nursing career destroyed, she moved back in with her parents. Last I heard, she was working at a drugstore, and Marcus wasn't allowed anywhere near the baby due to the restraining order I'd helped her file after he started threatening her too. Turns out, when his life fell apart, he blamed her for everything. Called her a whore who'd trapped him, said the baby probably wasn't even his. They destroyed each other, just like they'd tried to destroy me. As for me, I sold the house. Too many bad memories. I took my settlement money and my inheritance, and I started over in a new city. I wrote a book about my experience. The pills he made me swallow, how my husband weaponized medicine against me. It became a bestseller. I started a nonprofit helping women escape reproductive coercion and document evidence of abuse. And 2 years after my divorce was finalized, I met someone new. Someone kind, honest, who would never dream of controlling my body or stealing my choices. We're getting married next month, and if we decide to have children, it will be our decision. Made together, honestly, with full consent. That's what Marcus never understood. Love isn't about control. It's not about manipulation or deception or using someone for their money while you build a future with someone else. Love is respect, trust, partnership. Everything Marcus and Vanessa weren't capable of. They thought they'd won. They thought they'd played me perfectly, kept me infertile and oblivious while they built their dream life with my money. Instead, I took everything from them. Their careers, their reputations, their future together, their money, their dignity. I burned their lives to the ground and built something beautiful from the ashes. That's the difference between a victim and a survivor. A victim lets the betrayal destroy them. A survivor uses it as fuel, and I burned so fucking bright. But the story doesn't end with the baby shower crash. That was just the opening salvo. What came next was the systematic dismantling of everything Marcus and Vanessa had built together, and I enjoyed every single minute of it. The week after the baby shower, I got a call from Diana, my PI. "Rebecca, you need to see this. I found something else." We met at a coffee shop, and Diana slid a folder across the table. Inside were bank statements I'd never seen before. "Marcus opened a secret account," Diana explained. "Joint account with Vanessa. He's been funneling money there for 18 months. Look at the amounts." I looked. $2,000 here, $5,000 there. Small enough that I wouldn't notice missing from our joint account, but over 18 months, it added up to over $87,000. My inheritance money? Money my grandmother left me. Money I'd trusted Marcus to help manage. "That's not all," Diana said grimly. She showed me the withdrawal history. 3 months ago, they withdrew $45,000 cash. Want to guess what for? She showed me another document, a lease agreement for a luxury condo downtown, signed by both Marcus and Vanessa. Move-in date, 3 months from when I discovered the affair. "He was going to leave you," Diana said. "Not eventually. Soon. He was setting up their love nest while you thought you were building a family together." I felt that cold rage settle over me again. "Does my lawyer know about this?" I sent it to Sharon this morning. Sharon Kim called me an hour later, practically cackling with glee. "Rebecca, this is gold. This is fraud, embezzlement, theft. We're not just talking divorce settlement anymore. We're talking criminal charges." "Do it," I said without hesitation. "Are you sure? Criminal charges mean he could go to jail." "I'm sure." That afternoon, Sharon filed a police report for financial fraud and theft. The DA's office opened an investigation. Within days, Marcus was served with both divorce papers and a criminal summons. He tried to call me 117 times that week. I blocked him on everything. But Vanessa tried a different approach. She showed up at my office. I was working at a marketing firm downtown, and she somehow found out where. She was 8 months pregnant now, waddling through the lobby with her belly prominent, crying dramatically. "Rebecca, please," she begged when security brought her to the reception area where I was waiting. "Please, we need to talk, woman to woman." I stared at her, this girl who'd helped my husband drug me, who'd mocked me in texts, who'd fucked my husband in my house. "You have 60 seconds before I call the police." "I didn't know," she sobbed. "I swear, I didn't know about the pills. Marcus told me you knew about us. He said you two had an agreement. He said you couldn't have children and you wanted him to have a family with someone else." "Bullshit," I said flatly. "I have your messages. Are you sure the pills are working? Remember that one? You knew exactly what he was doing." Her face crumpled. Okay. I knew about the pills, but he said it was for your own good, that you were obsessed with getting pregnant and it was destroying your mental health. He said the pills were to help you." "Stop lying," I cut her off. "You're not here to apologize. You're here because your life is falling apart and you want me to fix it. You want me to convince the hospital not to fire you, or to drop the charges against Marcus, or to give you money. Which is it?" She stared at me, caught. "I need help," she finally admitted, the fake tears stopping. "I have a baby coming, no job, no money. Marcus won't return my calls now that everything's public. His parents won't talk to me. I'm alone." "Good," I said. "That's exactly what you deserve. You wanted my life. You wanted my house, my husband, my money. Well, here's what you actually get. Nothing. You get to be a single mother, working minimum wage, struggling to afford diapers, explaining to your daughter why her father is in prison." "He won't go to prison," Vanessa protested. "He's a doctor." Was a doctor. Past tense. His medical license is gone, Vanessa, and yes, he's going to prison for theft, fraud, and administering drugs without consent. You helped him do all of that? You might want to get yourself a lawyer too. Her face went white. "What? You think you're innocent? You were benefiting from stolen money. You lived in a condo, leased with my inheritance. You received gifts purchased with funds he embezzled from our joint account. You're an accessory." I watched as the reality sank in. She wasn't just unemployed and abandoned. She was potentially facing criminal charges herself. "I have evidence of you in my house," I continued. "Video footage, timestamps, photos you posted on social media. I have witnesses who saw you there. That's trespassing. I also have your messages discussing the money Marcus was investing in our future. That makes you complicit in the financial fraud." No, I didn't know." "The DA's office will decide what you knew." I stood up. "Security, please escort Ms. Hartley out." If she returns, call the police immediately. As security led her away, she was crying again. But this time they weren't manipulative tears. They were real. Good. The criminal case moved forward quickly. The evidence was overwhelming. Marcus's lawyer tried every trick, claiming it was a marital dispute, that I was vindictive, that the pills were a misunderstanding. But Sharon had prepared for this. She'd gotten Dr. Mitchell to testify. She'd brought in a pharmacologist who explained that there was no medical reason to give someone birth control pills disguised as prenatal vitamins. She'd shown the messages where Marcus explicitly discussed preventing my pregnancy. The prosecutor added financial crimes to the charges. With the secret bank account, the stolen inheritance money, and the lease he'd signed using fraudulent funds, Marcus was looking at serious time. His parents finally called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Rebecca," his mother said, her voice tight, "we need to talk about Marcus." "No, we don't." "He's our son. He made mistakes, but he doesn't deserve to go to prison. If you would just drop the charges." "He drugged me for 2 years," I said coldly. "He stole $87,000 of my inheritance. He had an affair and got another woman pregnant while making me believe my body was broken. And you want me to drop the charges? He's a good man who made poor choices. He's a criminal who got caught. And where were you when I was crying every month over negative pregnancy tests? When I was spending thousands on fertility consultations? When I thought something was wrong with me?" Silence. "That's what I thought. You knew something was off. You probably suspected the affair, but you said nothing because he's your son and I'm just the wife he married for her money. That's not fair." "You know what's not fair? Being drugged by your husband. Goodbye, Mrs. Thompson. Don't call again." I blocked their numbers, too. The preliminary hearing was devastating for Marcus. The judge reviewed the evidence and ruled that there was sufficient cause for a trial. Bail was set at $100,000. Marcus's parents posted it. He was released, but had to wear an ankle monitor and wasn't allowed to leave the state. That's when he started getting desperate. He showed up at Emily's house, where I was still staying. The police were called. He was arrested for violating the restraining order. He sent letters to my office. They were collected as evidence of harassment. He posted on social media, claiming I was lying, that I'd fabricated evidence, that I was mentally unstable. Sharon screenshotted everything and added it to our case for defamation. Every move he made dug his hole deeper. But the real turning point came when Vanessa decided to save herself. She reached out to the DA's office and offered to testify against Marcus in exchange for immunity. The prosecutor called me to get my opinion. "If she testifies, we'll have an inside witness to the affair, the financial crimes, everything. It will guarantee a conviction, but it means she walks." I thought about it. Part of me wanted Vanessa to go down with Marcus, but the smarter part knew that her testimony would destroy him completely. What exactly would she testify to? Everything. The affair timeline. How he told her about drugging you. How he showed her the pills and laughed about how trusting you were. How he planned to divorce you and keep your money. How he promised to marry her once you were gone. She'll corroborate every piece of evidence you've provided and add new details we didn't even know about. "Do it," I said. "Let her testify. She's not getting away clean anyway. She lost her career, her reputation, and the father of her child. Let her help bury him." The trial began 6 months after the baby shower crash. The courtroom was packed with media, spectators, and people from the hospital who wanted to see Marcus get what he deserved. I sat in the front row, dressed in a power suit, my new lawyer boyfriend David beside me for support. Yes, I'd started dating again. A good man, a kind man, someone who respected me. Marcus would see us together and know I'd moved on. The prosecution's case was airtight. They started with Dr. Mitchell, who explained the medical evidence. Then the pharmacologist, who testified about the birth control pills. Then Diana, who presented surveillance photos and videos. Then came Vanessa. She'd had the baby by now, a girl named Emma. She walked to the witness stand looking tired and defeated, nothing like the confident young woman who'd posted gleefully about stealing my life. "Ms. Hartley," the prosecutor began, "how long were you involved with the defendant?" 2.5 years, Vanessa said quietly. "And were you aware he was married during this time?" "Yes." "Did he tell you he was going to leave his wife?" "Yes. He said he would leave her once he figured out how to keep her money. He said Rebecca's family was wealthy and he'd married her for financial security, but that I was the one he really loved." I watched Marcus's face. He looked betrayed, angry. He'd never expected Vanessa to turn on him. "Did Mr. Thompson discuss his wife's fertility with you?" "Yes. He told me he was making sure she couldn't get pregnant." "How was he doing that?" He was giving her birth control pills disguised as prenatal vitamins. He showed me the bottles. He thought it was funny. He said she was so trusting, she never questioned anything. The jury's faces showed disgust. And did you ever express concern about this? Vanessa hesitated. At first, no. Marcus convinced me it was fine, that Rebecca knew deep down but was in denial. But later I asked him if it was ethical. He said ethics didn't matter. What mattered was getting what we wanted. And what did you want? I wanted him to leave her. I wanted us to be a family. I wanted the life he promised me, the house, the money, the future. Did Mr. Thompson use his wife's money to support your relationship? Yes. He opened a joint bank account for us. He transferred thousands of dollars from his wife's inheritance. We used it to lease an apartment where we were going to live together. He bought me jewelry, clothes, took me on trips, all with Rebecca's money. Marcus's lawyer objected, but the damage was done. The jury had heard everything. Ms. Hartley, why are you testifying today? Vanessa looked directly at Marcus. Because I have a daughter now, and I don't want her growing up thinking it's okay for men to treat women the way Marcus treated Rebecca, or the way he treated me when everything fell apart. What do you mean? When Rebecca exposed us, Marcus turned on me immediately. He said I'd trapped him. He said the baby probably wasn't his. He threatened me. He told me he'd make sure I lost everything if I didn't help him lie to cover up what he'd done. That's when I realized he didn't love me. He was using me the same way he used Rebecca. We were both just tools for him to get what he wanted. It was a masterful performance. Whether Vanessa had genuinely had a come-to-Jesus moment or was just trying to save herself, the result was the same. Marcus was finished. His lawyer tried to paint him as a man who'd made mistakes but didn't deserve prison. They brought character witnesses, colleagues who said he was a good doctor, friends who said he was generous, but Sharon Kim destroyed them on cross-examination. Was the defendant a good doctor when he was stealing drugs to deceive his wife? Was he generous when he stole $87,000 from her inheritance? Did he make a mistake when he conducted a 2.5-year affair and got another woman pregnant while preventing his wife's pregnancy? No one had answers? Then it was my turn to testify. I walked to the stand calmly, confidently. I wasn't the broken woman Marcus had tried to create. I was the woman who'd destroyed him. Mrs. Chen, the prosecutor began, can you tell the court about your relationship with the defendant? We were married for 8 years. For the first 6 years, things were normal. Then we decided to try for a baby. That's when everything changed. How so? Marcus started giving me what he said were prenatal vitamins. He insisted I take them every morning. He watched me swallow them. He was very controlling about it. And did you suspect anything was wrong? No. I trusted my husband. When I didn't get pregnant month after month, I blamed myself. I thought my body was broken. I spent thousands on fertility tests. I cried myself to sleep. I felt like a failure as a woman. What was Mr. Thompson's reaction to your distress? He was supportive. At least that's what I thought. He held me when I cried. He told me we'd keep trying. He researched fertility treatments with me, but now I know he was the one causing it. He was preventing my pregnancy while pretending to share my pain. When did you discover the truth? I told them about Dr. Mitchell's discovery, about finding the pills and the secret phone, about reading 2 years of messages between my husband and his mistress, seeing them mock me, plan their future with my money. How did that make you feel? Betrayed? Violated? Enraged? He'd stolen 2 years of my life. He'd made me doubt my own body. He'd stolen my money to fund his affair. And he'd done it all while telling me he loved me. What do you want the jury to know about the defendant? I looked directly at Marcus. He's not a good man who made mistakes. He's a predator who weaponized his medical knowledge to control and abuse his wife. He's a thief who stole from the woman who supported him through medical school. He's a liar who deceived 2 women simultaneously for his own benefit. And he deserves everything that's coming to him. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. When they came back, the 4 women stood. On the charge of administering drugs without consent, we find the defendant guilty. Marcus's face went white. On the charge of theft of funds exceeding $50,000, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of fraud, we find the defendant guilty. On all charges, we find the defendant guilty. Marcus's mother started crying. His father sat stone-faced. Vanessa, sitting in the back of the courtroom with baby Emma, looked relieved. And me? I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. The prosecutor recommended the maximum, 8 years in prison. Marcus's lawyer argued for leniency. Your Honor, my client has already lost everything, his career, his reputation, his marriage. Prison time would be excessive. The judge wasn't buying it. Mr. Thompson, she said, looking at him with undisguised contempt. You are a doctor. You took an oath to do no harm. Instead, you used your medical knowledge to systematically abuse your wife. You drugged her for 2 years without her knowledge or consent. You stole her inheritance to fund an affair. You lied to multiple women, manipulated them, and showed no remorse until you were caught. She paused. I'm sentencing you to 7 years in state prison. Additionally, you will pay full restitution of $87,000 to your wife, plus damages of $250,000 for emotional distress and abuse. You will be permanently barred from practicing medicine in any capacity. And upon your release, you will be on probation for 5 years. 7 years. Marcus would be 47 when he got out. His medical career would be over, his reputation destroyed, his future gone. He was led away in handcuffs, and he looked back at me one last time. The hatred in his eyes was pure and burning. Good. Let him hate me. Let him spend every day in prison thinking about how the stupid, trusting wife he'd tried to destroy had obliterated him instead. After the sentencing, reporters swarmed me outside the courthouse. Mrs. Chen, how do you feel about the verdict? Justice has been served. What's next for you? I'm moving forward with my life. I'm writing a book about my experience. I'm starting a nonprofit to help other women who've been victims of reproductive coercion. And I'm never letting anyone make me feel broken again. The clip went viral. By that evening, I had dozens of messages from women sharing their own stories of husbands or partners controlling their reproduction, stories of pills being switched, IUDs being removed without consent, condoms being sabotaged. This wasn't just my story. This was an epidemic. I started the nonprofit within a month. Stolen Choices provided legal support, medical resources, and counseling for women dealing with reproductive coercion. Within 6 months, we'd helped over 100 women. The book came out 8 months after the trial. The pills he made me swallow. How My Husband Weaponized Medicine Against Me debuted at number 3 on the New York Times bestseller list. I did press tours. I went on talk shows. I testified before Congress about the need for stronger laws against reproductive coercion. And everywhere I went, I made sure Marcus's name was attached to the story. He became the face of reproductive abuse. Google his name, and you'd find hundreds of articles about what he'd done. He would never escape this. Never rebuild, never hide. Meanwhile, Vanessa's life continued its downward spiral. Without Marcus's money, she struggled. She moved back in with her parents, who were ashamed of her role in the scandal. She couldn't find work in nursing. No hospital would hire her after what happened. She tried reaching out to me multiple times, asking for money, for help, for forgiveness. I ignored every message. Then, a year after Marcus went to prison, she did something unforgivable. She sold her story to a tabloid. I was the other woman. My side of the story. In it, she painted herself as a victim, claimed Marcus had manipulated her, that she didn't know the full extent of what he was doing, said she'd been young and naive, that she regretted everything. She was rewriting history, trying to rehabilitate her reputation at my expense. I wasn't going to let that happen. I called my publisher. I want to release the unedited messages. Everything Vanessa said, every cruel comment, every mocking text, every time she celebrated stealing my life. I want the world to see who she really is. That's nuclear, Rebecca. Are you sure? I'm sure. We released them as a companion ebook. The Mistress's Own Words, the unedited messages of Vanessa Hartley. It was devastating. Every text where she'd called me pathetic. Every post where she'd mocked my fertility struggles. Every message where she'd discussed taking over my house, my money, my life. The public turned on her viciously. Her tabloid story was exposed as lies. She was branded as cruel and calculating, not a naive victim. She went into hiding after that, deleted all her social media, moved away from the city. I heard through the grapevine that she was working at a gas station in a small town somewhere, using her mother's maiden name. Good. Let her hide. Let her spend the rest of her life looking over her shoulder, wondering if someone will recognize her as the woman who helped a doctor drug his wife. 2 years after the trial, I got married to David. It was a small, beautiful ceremony with just close friends and family. No press, no spectacle, just love and joy and a future built on honesty. On our wedding night, David handed me a small wrapped box. I have something for you, he said. Inside was a prescription bottle, my name on it. Actual prenatal vitamins, prescribed by my new gynecologist, with David's note attached. If and when you're ready, your choice. Always your choice. I cried. Happy tears this time. We started trying for a baby 6 months later, and within 2 months I got pregnant. Naturally, easily, because there was nothing wrong with my body. There never had been. My daughter was born 9 months later, healthy, perfect, beautiful. I named her Grace, because Grace is what I'd needed to survive, and Grace is what I'd found on the other side of the nightmare. Marcus sent a letter from prison when he found out about the baby. I never opened it. I had it returned to sender marked refused. He had no place in my life, no right to my joy. He'd stolen enough. 3 years after Marcus went to prison, I got a call from the parole board. He was up for early release for good behavior. No, I said immediately. Absolutely not. You have the right to make a statement at his hearing, the parole officer said. So I did. I walked into that hearing room in a designer suit with my wedding ring gleaming and photos of my daughter on my phone. I looked successful, happy, thriving. Marcus looked terrible. Prison had aged him. Gray hair, hollow cheeks, defeated posture. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Mr. Thompson has been a model prisoner, his lawyer argued. He's attended therapy, taken classes, shown genuine remorse. He deserves a chance at redemption. Then it was my turn to speak. You want to know if Marcus Thompson deserves early release. I addressed the parole board directly. Let me tell you what he deserves. He deserves to serve every single day of his sentence. He drugged me for 2 years. He stole my inheritance. He made me believe my body was broken while he impregnated another woman. He showed no remorse until he was caught. And even now, I doubt he's sorry for what he did. He's only sorry he got caught. I pulled out my phone and showed them a photo of Grace. This is my daughter. She's 2 years old. I had her naturally, easily, within months of trying with my new husband. Because there was nothing wrong with me. Marcus created a problem that never existed, just so he could control me and take my money. That level of cruelty doesn't deserve early release. It deserves every day of punishment the law allows. The parole board deliberated for 20 minutes. They denied his early release. Marcus would serve his full 7 years. 4 years after the trial, my nonprofit had expanded to 3 states. We'd helped over 1,000 women. We'd successfully lobbied for laws in 15 states making reproductive coercion a specific crime with serious penalties. I'd become a sought-after speaker, an advocate, someone who'd turned personal tragedy into systemic change. And Marcus? He was just prisoner, 0847392, counting down the days until his release, knowing that when he got out, he'd have nothing. No career, no money, no reputation, no family. His parents had disowned him after the parole hearing, finally accepting what their son really was. I'd won. Completely. Utterly. Irreversibly. 5 years after everything started, I stood in the living room of my beautiful new house, the one David and I bought together, with my book money and his law firm salary, and I looked at my daughter playing with blocks on the floor. Grace looked up at me and smiled. Mama. Yes, baby. Love you. I love you too, sweetheart. This was my life now. Not the life Marcus had tried to steal, not the life Vanessa had tried to claim. My life, built from scratch, on my terms. David came in from the kitchen, handed me a glass of wine. What are you thinking about? How far I've come, how much I've changed. Regrets? Not a single one. Well, maybe one. I wish I'd found out sooner. I could have saved myself some pain. But would you be where you are now if you'd found out sooner? He had a point. The betrayal had forged me into someone stronger, someone who didn't take shit from anyone, someone who knew her worth and wouldn't settle for less. No, I admitted. I needed to break completely before I could rebuild into who I am now. That night, after Grace was asleep and David was reading in bed, I did something I hadn't done in years. I Googled Marcus's name. The first results were still articles about the trial, about what he'd done, about his conviction and imprisonment. But there was a new article from a local paper. Former doctor denied early release. Will serve full sentence. There was a photo of him being led back to his cell. He looked broken, empty, defeated. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, no pity. Nothing. He was just a man who'd made terrible choices and was paying for them. A cautionary tale, a name attached to a crime that I'd helped make famous. He wasn't my husband anymore. He wasn't even my abuser. He was just a footnote in my story. A chapter I'd closed and moved past. I closed the laptop and went to bed beside my husband, my real husband, who loved me honestly, who respected my choices, who would never dream of controlling or deceiving me. I fell asleep thinking about the future, about Grace starting preschool, about the new nonprofit office opening in Texas, about the second book I was writing, about the life I'd built from the ashes of the one Marcus tried to destroy. And somewhere in a prison cell 300 miles away, Marcus Thompson lay on a hard bunk and thought about the wife he'd underestimated, the wife who'd been too trusting, too naive, too easy to manipulate, until she wasn't, until she'd gathered evidence so comprehensive that he never stood a chance, until she'd exposed him so thoroughly that he'd lost everything, until she'd won so completely that his name would forever be associated with the worst kind of betrayal. He'd thought I was weak, stupid, easy to control. He was wrong about all of it. And that mistake cost him everything. 7 years into his sentence, Marcus would be released. He'd be 47 years old, unemployable in his field, with a criminal record that would follow him forever. He'd live in a cheap apartment, work menial jobs, and watch from afar as I continued to thrive. He'd see my TED Talk about reproductive coercion get 10 million views. He'd see my second book become a bestseller. He'd see photos of me receiving awards for my nonprofit work. He'd see everything he could have had if he'd just been a decent human being. And he'd know every single day that he destroyed himself. I didn't destroy him. I just exposed what he already was. The monster was always there. I just turned on the lights. As for Vanessa, I heard she eventually moved to another state, changed her name, and was trying to rebuild her life. Her daughter, Emma, was 5 years old now, being raised by her grandmother mostly, while Vanessa worked 2 jobs to make ends meet. She'd reached out one final time 2 years ago. An email apologizing, asking for forgiveness, saying she understood if I never wanted to speak to her, but she needed me to know she was sorry. I never responded. Not because I was still angry, but because she was irrelevant. She'd been punished enough by the natural consequences of her actions. I didn't need to do anything else. My revenge was complete. Not because I'd actively destroyed them, though I had, but because I'd built something so beautiful from the ruins they'd created. They tried to break me. Instead, they forged me into something unbreakable. They tried to steal my future. Instead, they gave me purpose. They tried to make me believe I was broken. Instead, I proved I was indestructible. That's the real revenge. Not the prison sentence or the lost careers or the public humiliation, though those were satisfying. The real revenge is living well, thriving, building a life so full of joy and purpose and love that your abusers become irrelevant. Marcus and Vanessa wanted to destroy me and build their happy life on my ruins. Instead, I destroyed them and built a happy life on theirs. Poetic justice, perfect revenge, complete victory. And I'm just getting started. Thank you for staying until the end. If this story gave you the justice you needed to see, check out the other videos on screen. They're just as satisfying. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? See you in the next story.